Hello everyone, my name's Eileen and I'm moving to Qatar. And not only me, I'm taking my husband, my two children who are 4 and 6, and hopefully our cat. So the reason that we're moving to Qatar is because I've accepted a job at an international school as an English teacher. I've taught in a further education college for 14 years in the north of England, but now I'm ready for a new challenge, an adventure. I want to travel, explore a bit, hopefully save a bit of money, pay off my mortgage because we're going to be keeping this house. We're not going to sell this house, we're going to rent it out. And we're assuming that we are going to come back at some point and we'd like to have this here. We've just spent 3 years renovating it and now it's finished, we're moving on. That's what we tend to do. So my children will be in the same school that I'm going to teach in. The company that I'm working for offer 2 free places for children of people who work there. So luckily I've only got 2 children and they provide accommodation. So we are, as far as I know, we're going to get a 3-bedroom apartment on a beautiful complex with a pool, a clubhouse, restaurants, parks. It looks amazing. And once we're out there, we might look into getting a villa maybe rather than just an apartment, because that's what a lot of families do. My sister actually lives out there already and works for the same school that I'm going to be working for. She's been out there, well, she went out 8 years ago, came back for 4 years and has just gone back out again. So we're not going in blind. And yeah, we're all just really looking forward to an adventure, a little bit of, you know, when you get to my age, I'm 37, you start thinking about what have I done in life, when I go to my deathbed, what am I going to say I've done, I've achieved. And staying here for 14 years and not really having the money to go all the places that I'd love to visit and all the experience I'd love to give my children, this just seems too good to pass up. So we're very excited and I'm going to be using this channel to document our experiences, starting with everything I've had to do to be able to enter Qatar, to be employed there, such as get my certificates attested and the process for all of that. I'll be talking about that, getting the passports for the children. When we look at how to get the cat over there, I'll also document that. But we're going in 4 months, so it is really exciting. There should be lots of content, but mainly this is so we can look back and go, oh my goodness, look what we did. So this channel is going to be called Miles Away because our last name is Miles and we're going to be away. We're going to be away in Qatar and I'm looking forward to taking you all with us and showing you all the experiences we have while we're out there. I wanted to share my attestation journey. So in order to teach in Qatar, you need to get your documents such as your degree transcript, a letter from the university stating that you attended, when you attended and what course you did, birth certificates of your children if you're taking children with you, and marriage certificate if you have a husband, wife, etc. So obviously I'm going over to Qatar to teach and I'm taking my husband and 2 children with me. So I had to get 6 documents attested with the Qatari embassy and, well, I have to get that done and sent to the school before I start in August of this year. There are different ways you can do this. The easiest way you can do it is through a company. So you get all your documents together, you send them off to this company and they will sort everything out to you and they will send the documents back to you, all attested with the official stamp of Qatar, and then you just send it on to your school. But that would have cost me about between £800 and £900. So I was like, oh, I don't want to pay that. So you can do it yourself and you can save a bit of money. So that's what I wanted to do. Now, what I would say is learn from my mistakes because I've just about done it. but I messed up a couple of times. First thing I did was I googled get documents attested for Qatar, and I came across the the gov.uk website. So it's a process on there. I think it's called Get Documents Legalised, and what you apply for is an apostille, and the apostille basically says your documents are legal and official. I went through the steps, and as I was going through the application, it said your university degree and letter must be signed by either a notary person or a solicitor. So obviously I had to stop the application there because I didn't have that done. What I needed to get signed were 3 documents. It was the letter, the degree, and the degree transcript. To get that done through a notary person would cost around £200. I mean, it depends how much that notary person charges, but for me it would have been £200. If you know a solicitor, you can get them to sign it for free, if they're willing to do that, if you've got a friend who's a solicitor. And they basically just say, I hereby certify that these documents are true documents, and I've seen the originals. And they stamp it, or the notary person's got like a crest that they stamp into the document. So I had to get that done first, and then I could continue to apply through the government website. Now, you don't need to get your marriage certificate or birth certificate signed by a notary person or a solicitor, because they're already official documents, but you do need to send them off to get legalised. So it's £45 per document, and I had to send 6 off. So I sent them through, I finished the application, then you print off the application print off, you put that in the envelope with all your documents, and you send that off. Now, I sent it first class sign for because I wanted to make sure that it got there, but I suppose you don't have to do that, but it is your identity that you're sending in the post, so that's something you need to think about. I didn't want to send it special delivery because it costs about £3 or £4 more. I used to work in the post office, so I kind of know how it works, and I was confident that it would get there first class sign for, and the sign for just adds that extra bit of insurance that you know when it's got there. I will point out though, it's not tracked. So if it does go missing, it's not tracked. You just know it's not arrived at its destination. So it's up to you which path you choose. So I sent them all off, and it didn't take long actually for them to come back, and they came back with the official apostille stuck on the back of each document. So I thought, whoa, I've done it, yes, I've beat the system. I thought that's all you had to do. I thought that was attested now. So I sent them all, I scanned them over to the school, and they said, oh, that's great, but don't forget to get them officially stamped by the Qatari embassy. And I was like, oh, well, what does that mean? So I googled it, get your documents attested by the Qatari embassy, and then I read down the website up until the bit where it says the address where you send it. So I thought, oh, that's a nuisance, but I'll send it. So sent them all first class sign for again, all the official documents that with the apostille. And then a few days later I got a phone call from the Qatari embassy saying, hello madam, we have your documents, but you didn't send the postal order for £138. So I'd obviously not read down further. Just underneath the address to send it to is the fees section. So it was so much per document, and it worked out altogether £138. I think educational documents are more expensive than just birth certificate, marriage certificates and everything, but only by a few pounds. So I'd never sent a postal order before, so I went to the post office and I said, I've got to send this postal order, but I've never done it before. So what you do is you purchase the postal order, but there are fees for the postal order. So although it was £138 postal order to send, it cost £150 in total with the fees. And then I had to send it special delivery to the Qatari embassy. So the amount I'm saving at this point is getting less and less and less, but it was still a saving at the end, so it's worth it if you do it properly. So that's where I'm up to now with my documents being attested. They're currently at the Qatari embassy. I know they've got the postal order because I sent that special delivery, because obviously it's money. A postal order is like money, you hand it in for cash. So I wanted to make sure that was sent and tracked. So that's got there. But they've just, I think it's Eid at the moment, and they had Ramadan, then Eid. So I'm assuming it'd probably take a little bit longer for them to send it back because they're on the holidays, quite rightly. So I'm just waiting for those documents to be returned. Where am I at now? So what I've got to do is, once the documents have been returned, then I've got to scan a copy of the documents over to the school with the official Qatari embassy stamp, and then they can apply for my residence permit, I think, and organise flights and everything, because without proof of legalised documents, then I won't be able to work in Qatar as a teacher. So the school can't do anything until that's sorted. Also, I have to apply for the children to attend school. So the school have been in touch and they've asked for certain things for me to send for the children. The only thing that I didn't have were their passports. So I've had to apply for passports. My daughter did have a passport because she's 6, and we got her passport when she was born, so we could go and see my sister in Qatar. When my son was born, that was the COVID time, so nobody was travelling anywhere. There was no point in getting a passport. We weren't going anywhere, so he's never had one. So my daughter's passport was fairly straightforward. You do it all online now, which is just so much better. Do you remember filling in those forms for passport? My goodness. I used to have to get about 10 forms from the post office because guaranteed I'd mess it up. That was so much pressure. And because I'm a teacher, I used to sign people's photographs and then sign to say, I hereby certify this is a true likeness. Oh my goodness, I used to mess them up as well, and it was just too much pressure. In the end, I said I can't do it anymore because of the pressure. But now it's so much easier. So all I had to do was fill in online, put in my daughter, her name's Delilah, put in Delilah's old passport details and take a new photo. Put in the details of my friend who's a teacher, for her to say that the photos are a true likeness of my daughter. So luckily for me, as being a teacher, I know a lot of people that can officially certify things. And all I had to send to the passport office once the application was submitted was her old passport. So I think it was about £53. For both of them, for both the passports. Now my son's was a little bit more difficult because he's never had a passport before, so I had to send off his birth certificate, which is currently at the Qatari embassy. So with my daughter, when I had my daughter, it was all very, we're getting it registered, let's get an extra birth certificate, let's get a few, there's a deal, you can have this many. By the time we had my son, we were like, you only need one. You don't need to pay extra for more. If only I did. So I had to apply for a new birth certificate, a copy of his birth certificate, which arrived last week, and I had to pay for that. So I've sent that and Delilah, so my son's called Noah, I've sent Noah's birth certificate, I've sent Delilah's passport, and I think they've got sent them signed for. I've had notification that they've got the passport. I've not had notification they've got the birth certificate yet, but if I can track it, I'm sure they'll have got it at the same time. So I'm just waiting for them to be sent back to me now. So once they're sent back to me, I can upload copies of their passports to their school application, and they can be officially registered for school. And the registration fees work out about £100 each, which is all right considering the fees for school over there are like £10,000 a year. So we're getting 2 free places. So we can't begrudge paying £100 to register them. And yeah, just waiting on my documents. And once my documents have come back and the kids' passports, I think that's everything I need to do done in terms of documents, applications, getting legalised to work over there. Obviously we've got to sort out the house. We are actually sorting out the house quite well. We've been renovating it for 3 years and we're nearly finished. Everywhere's all plastered. There's no like destruction or anything happening now. The only room we've not done is the living room, but it's all plastered, painted and everything. We just haven't put a fireplace in or, you know, got the furniture we want. So we're in the process of finally unpacking things from 3 years ago and putting them in the right places, putting pictures on the wall. The house is looking really, really nice, so I'm going to be quite sad to leave it. But we'll be coming back. We'll be coming back to the house and it's still going to be here. So we're sorting the house out, getting rid of a lot of stuff we don't need, a lot of stuff we think, you know, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time we won't need when we do come back here to live. That should be quite interesting, what we're taking with us, what we're packing. There'll be lots of things to talk about, I suppose. 4 months is not a long time and we're both still working full time. I've still got my students to get through their exams, but yeah, all very exciting. What we'll talk about a bit further on, I don't know if it'll be in this video or another one, is how I applied for the job, how the interview process and all things like that. So if you're interested in applying for a job as a teacher in Qatar, that might be useful to you. But yeah, so that's documents being attested and registering children for school. I might talk a little bit more about that once I know more. But yeah.